Top of the whenever to my Godlights. It is I am he, I am she, I am share. Look to the Bible, and there you will find me. I have come today, January 9th, to give you some tasty tidbits to assist you in transparency and honesty. And I decided to give you a little bit of honesty about me, or or to tell you a little bit about me. I'm going to mention this. I don't plan on ever discussing this past this video. I'm going to make it as brief as possible. And I'm going to share because I am share. And also, because of the things that happened in the first half of Life Path 9 that we're in, and it transmutes into the final life path 15. One of the things that happened in this, my eyes twitching, I'm getting irritated. This video is not easy for me at all. During this last year, one of the things that happened to me personally was I ended up having a conversation with someone within the Department of Justice. And I went to discuss some of the things that I dealt with because I wanted to be separated from unpleasant things that are going to be happening. I know this is a fact because I'm a telepath, right? And I've always been this way, and I began speaking up about it when I was a toddler, and for a while I kind of gave up on it. But I decided, you know what? I want to make my stance on a certain situation known to the government that I do not align with it. And as I began talking about the situation, which was not easy for me before I talked about the side of things that affect the public. Ooh, my voice is going. Before I talked about the side that affected the public, I decided to talk about the side that affected my personal existence, because they are not separate, and I do not consent, and I do not participate. And before I can talk about how it affected society, the individual looked to me and said, "What do you expect us to do about it? They're just going to do it again. They're just going to do it again." And that's very interesting to hear from the Department of Justice, because the situation relates to the government, right? So what are you gonna do? Because they're just gonna do it again. Is their approach. However, I am not going to bother myself by expecting the court system and the government to have a stance, a healthy stance on justice when they tell me directly that they basically have no power, right? That's what came out of my meeting with them. However, I am going to be giving the public a portion of my truth so that you can be free through activation of hearing something that I am going to say. I am going to be telling you a brief bit about abuse I have experienced through the Shadow Cabinet and the Intelligence and Security Command. I was born September 16th, 1982, on the country where the planet body formed, known as Jamaica in the West Indies. 9 months after my birth, the Intelligence Command in the United States began using details about me in their research materials. I was in diapers in my crib when family governing groups and religious groups began echo possession, rapes, and siphoning on me. They started with my root and sacral chakras, as well as my sex organs. This led to me being hexed and bound when I was 2 years old. And it has led to a lifetime of divination abuse being done by me. No, not by me, done onto me, on my body. I moved to the US when I was 8. And a few months into being here, I spoke up about the abuses that I was experiencing that was hard to describe for me because I was a toddler, and it was affecting my ability to socialize with individuals. And it was apparent that I was different when I was in school. I was in public school in California at the time. And the advice that I was given by a teacher and the school principal at the time was to call the police about it, which I did do. However, at that time, I had no idea that governing groups within the unseen who assisted me getting here, in addition to family who assisted, were in bed together metaphysically. I was like 9. I know nothing about that, really. I am over it. I am just a little bit uncomfortable to be having to say those words out loud. I release it. I don't feel any shame from it because it's not my burden. It's not my problem. The crimes done onto me are not my crimes. They are other people's behaviors, and I do not take it on as my own. However, this is the 75th anniversary of this shadow cabinet. That was the root of this. Their group started with the C.IA, but it branched over into the F.B.I. And this year is their 75th anniversary. However, this is also the 45th anniversary. I am 45. Not 45. I was about to say 45. I am 43. And this is the 43rd anniversary of them monitoring me and violating me along with the Bloodline Council And that is a big number and a big milestone. That is dedication. And I want to share this eat the cake anime type abuse that they have done onto me, and they are doing it to many other individuals. Many. On June 9th of 1993, roughly 9 months after my birth, the Intelligence and Security Command published a document. Um, subject it's called Subject Analysis and Assessment of Gateway Process. The details in it are things done that were first done to test subjects who did not give consent themselves. Me being one of them, because I was in diapers in my crib at the time the article was formed. However, this article was released exactly 1 year after a 9/11 event where the same test subject, I'm talking about myself, was recorded yet again doing metaphysical things in the vicinity of 9/11 site. I was there seen or recorded by this group that this article was written by. I was seen doing something metaphysical. Because hijacked victims that did not survive sought me out through force. They carried with them the hijackers, which were fused and tethered to them. I am mentioning that because I made a previous video where I was focusing on something for Greece and Italy. And I mentioned Princess Cassandra's former affianced existence. And I mentioned what the person looked like. I was standing in Tribeca when I saw this person again, because this individual was tied to hijacked victims from 9/11. And it seems that the aim of this event that happened to me, not on that first date, but on the first anniversary, the aim was to give Ham's ass access to me by this group and the wardens of the, what are they calling themselves? Make sure I say it correctly. The Shadow Cabinet, yes. And can't forget my family. Gotta love them, right? To give them access to me without any visible, intraceable affiliations. Traitors. I bring this up because they are now attempting to do similar things to other individuals. On that day, this group that I am mentioning, well, two groups, they use viewing and they saw me with Yeshua on the second floor exterior of Borough of Manhattan Community College in Tribeca. And they recorded details about metaphysics from watching me with him. And that was used to culminate the article that was released on September 10th of 2003. I'm gonna point out the site location of this because information has a way of suddenly disappearing. The site location file is CIA-RDP 96-0017-0021-0016-5. This intelligence began with the warden. The warden, I don't know if the U.S. Was aware that the warden that assisted them in coming up with this 7-generation siege is the warden controlling this Chronos luge farm that we are imprisoned within. But they sure did pay him. He was on payroll. 75 years ago, he was on payroll. Does he still exist? Yes. Is he still within the matrix? Yes. Is he still in the same body 75 years ago? I'm not sure. I'm not sensing that. Over the last year, I've been sensing several body jumpers. I'm not sure if he's one of them. I wouldn't be surprised. However, I make this video to give congratulations to the United States because the person they got to help them steal metaphysical blessings and inheritances for their military is the main person who arranged their death and extinction. And this island that is about to form, that is California, and the individual behind the thing that is by Colorado Springs that can destroy not only the entire United States, but this entire planet in extinction events. And I am sensing that the sequences have begun, which is why I am sensing the 3 island bodies starting to form. The cosmos wants you to know that when you play stupid games, you are now going to be given stupid prizes for your collaboration with the warden and getting Humpty Dumpty Little Dicky to co-sign. The cosmos will be giving you a bigger stupid prize later on in the year. Happy anniversary.